Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, bringing you this week's connection with intention. It's going to take me a little while to get used to that one. First of all, before we get started, I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to connect with me. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day to be here today. So there are a couple of things that I wanted to mention. First of all, we still have 20% off readings and gift certificates purchased in the month of January through the link on the website, bookingwitherin.com/gratitude. The link is in the comment section, both on Facebook and on YouTube. In addition, next week we will be doing the full moon releasing with Archangel Haniel. You can find the event information both on my Facebook page as well as at bookingwitherin.com/online gathering. And that one is really easy to see in the menu option. Yes, there's also a link on Facebook, and information linking to that is also in the comment section here on this evening's live. So before we get started, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who is on this evening. I've got a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. And also I've got a slightly different setup this evening. I'm using my cell phone, but also I have things going on my laptop. So I will be switching back and forth. If you're wondering what the heck's going on, that's what's happening. So first of all, this past weekend, I had the immense privilege and pleasure and honor to be a part of the More Than Existing Summit. It was a weekend of empowerment. I was able to share some of my passions, which are trusting your intuition and also connecting with Archangel Haniel. So you may notice we have a little bit of a theme with Archangel Haniel. And I actually want to share part of the presentation that I shared over the course of the weekend, because it helps to explain why we're connecting with Archangel Haniel for the full moon releasing. So first of all, I'll set this up by saying this was something that happened to me back in October. It was a couple of days before the full moon. It was a time of incredible emotional turmoil and upset. There were a lot of things that were shifting and changing in my world, very much to the better in a lot of ways, but it was still very challenging and very difficult. And this particular day, I was out in the yard. I was doing some yard work and maintenance and cleaning and clearing things up, and I was pretty upset. Like, the air around me was pretty blue with the words that I was using, with the emotion that I was expressing and processing. There was just a lot that was happening and going on. And I took a moment, and I'm just going to share some slides here with you. I took a moment and looked up at the moon. And this is what I was greeted with, this beautiful, powerful, almost full moon. You may say to yourself, Erin, how did you know it was almost the full moon? Well, this was October the 17th, and October 20th is my younger brother's birthday, and he has always been fascinated with the moon. And when we were kids, he used to call it Brian's moon. Anytime he saw the moon, was Brian's moon, and October 20th was his birthday. So it was really significant that the moon was full on his birthday. So I know that we're still a couple of days before the full moon when we had this experience. And I was able to stop and look and connect with the energy of the moon. So the full moon is a time of releasing. It is a time of letting go. Usually at night, there isn't a lot of light that is present, but the full moon helps to illuminate that which is usually in shadow. And so it brings things up. So I stood and I bathed in this moonlight and felt as things started to release. It was such a beautiful moment that I started taking pictures. So this was the next one that I took. And then I took this picture. And what I could see was all that I could see was the angel in the moon. And the moon angel is Archangel Haniel. Archangel Haniel connects with the energy of the moon. She helps and supports us in releasing. She also works with crystals. So one of the ways that we can clean and clear our crystals is by putting our crystals out into the moonlight. And so it makes a lot of sense that Archangel Haniel is also helping and supporting us with that. She helps to bring us into a place of joy and helps us to shift our perspective from one where we may be experiencing challenge into one where we can see other opportunities, where we can see why things may be happening as they are, where we can start to feel, see, and experience joy. So this was a really significant gift for me. The next day, just to continue with the story, the next day I spoke with Lisa Richard, who was one of the background organizers for the More Than Existing event. And she said, Erin, what do you think? Would you come and do a presentation for us? And would you talk about angels? Well, if you've been around for a while, you know that I love angels, but I'm also really passionate about intuition and developing intuition. And so I said, well, I'd really like to talk about developing intuition. And we kind of came up to, well, it'd be kind of cool if you were able to do both, incorporate both. And I thought, oh man, I just had this powerful, incredible experience with Archangel Haniel. It makes a lot of sense. And of course, Archangel Haniel also helps and supports us in developing our intuition and understanding intuitive messages when we receive them and helping to recognize that we're receiving intuitive messages, information. So it makes a lot of sense to connect with Archangel Haniel when you're starting to talk about intuition. I spoke about it with my mom because I have a great relationship with her, and I talk about a lot of the things that I have going on in my world with my mom. I'm really grateful to have that experience. And as I was telling her about it, I happened to look outside, and I found what I saw were beautiful angel wings in this dirty glass on the deck. And for me, it felt like really beautiful confirmation. I should also mention that the colors that Archangel Haniel is associated with is a very light blue, kind of a white, milky blue, like the color of rainbow moonstone. Some people also associate her with the color of turquoise, but I've always experienced Archangel Haniel in this really beautiful blue color. And so this is that same image from another perspective. So it felt like it was really beautiful confirmation. And so this has been energy that has been in the works for about the last 3 or 4 months anyway. So this is the invitation that we have for the full moon releasing with Archangel Haniel. This is going to be an online Zoom event. I won't be recording the Zoom event. And the reason for that is I want to offer the opportunity for those who are present to share experiences that they're having, and it just doesn't feel fair to potentially violate privacy. So if you're able to join us live, that would be absolutely amazing. Just pop over to my Facebook page, or the link is also here in our comments. Awesome. So one other thing that I wanted to do, I realized that I've talked a fair amount this evening already, and I don't usually talk this long during our Connection with Intention, or the formerly known Tune In and Tune Up Thursday, but I've really been enjoying doing the Pick Your Own Adventure card reading. So we're going to do that again this evening. So I know we've had lots of comments coming in and questions that have been coming up. That's awesome. I am so excited to connect with each of you today. But I think this also gives everybody an opportunity to ask a question and to receive an answer to. So these are the crystal choices that we have for you this evening. Of course, it feels really appropriate to include Angelite. So the first crystal that we have is Angelite. The next is Peach Moonstone. And the last one is Ametrine. You can't really see it that well in this particular picture. Ametrine is a blend of amethyst and citrine. They both have the same chemical component, amethyst and citrine, and they just form at different temperatures. So citrine forms at a higher temperature, and sometimes what you end up with is amethyst that has little pockets of a hotter temperature where you see citrine in it as well. So this crystal is ametrine here too. So think of a question And you're welcome to think of more than one question. You're welcome to choose a question for each of the crystals that we have here. And as you're thinking of your question, choose one of the crystals to represent the question that you've asked. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck this evening, and I'm just going to leave those up as I'm choosing a card. Here, I think I can throw myself down in the bottom screen. There we go. All right, so we're just going to ask for a card to represent the questions that are asked with Angelite, with Peach Moonstone, and we've also got one here for our Ametrine. One thing that I noticed too is, Angelite and Moonstone are both connected with the energy of the moon too, so that feels really appropriate. All right, so I'll just put myself back here. So for those of you who chose Angelite, where am I going here? The card for you this evening is Remember Who You Are. And I love this blue energy. This is Archangel Michael's card. And so his message is, you are a powerful, loving, and creative child of God. You are very loved. When this card comes up, it's always encouragement to get back in touch with your power. Often we start to either lose ourselves or we start to lose our connection with ourselves when we're in different situations or different relationships. And Archangel Michael is saying, hey, focus on who you are, on what you're bringing to the situation, the beautiful powerfulness that is you. He's also encouraging you to remember your life path and your life purpose. And part of what I'm hearing is, as you're making your choices and decisions in this situation, ask yourself which takes you closer to your life path and which takes you further away from it. What takes you closer to your passion and what takes you farther away from it. Archangel Michael helps and supports us in releasing the energy that no longer serves us. You can ask him to release any cords that you may have to the situation that you're asking about to help you move forward in a way that is positive, healthy, and supportive. But before we're doing forward movement, we're coming into empowerment in ourselves and seeing our own power in the situation. For those of us who chose the middle crystal was the Peach Moonstone. We have here this evening Archangel Haniel, and his message is peace. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. So with the situation or the question that you're asking about, let go of all of the drama, let go of all of the challenge. Where is the love in the situation? Where is the motivation for love in the situation? How can you be more peaceful and loving with and to yourself and to everybody else involved? This is definitely a card of dissolving challenge. And to dissolve the challenge, find the underlying love, the underlying support. I'm reminded of Mr. Rogers. And one of the things that he used to say that floats around on Facebook quite frequently is, in challenging and difficult situations, look to find the helpers. That's what you're looking for in this situation, is look for the helpers, look for the support, or be the helper, be the support. And for everyone who chose, the Ametrine crystal, the card that we have for you this evening is sensitivity. And of course, this is one of Archangel Haniel's cards in the deck. There are 45 cards, 3 for each of the 15 archangels. So it's always significant when one of them shows up, particularly when we've been talking about her. So this is the sensitivity card. You are extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. So sensitivity can come up in a lot of different ways with this card. This can refer to emotional sensitivities or food sensitivities or energy sensitivities. It is really important to be connecting with your own self and your own energy and honoring that. As we're starting to move into the energy of the full moon next week, I believe it's on the 18th of January, it's definitely simply a time to pay attention to how you're feeling, recognizing that your energy might fluctuate a lot. You might feel that you've got a lot of energy, but it could feel like it's kind of in overdrive. The other aspect that's popping in for me too is we're going to be entering into Mercury retrograde in the next couple of days. And basically what that means is it appears from our perspective that Mercury is moving backwards to us. It just actually has to do with the cycle that the Earth and Mercury have around the sun, that Mercury's cycle around the sun is just shorter than ours. And so there are several times throughout the year where it looks like it's going in reverse to us. And one of the things that comes up for us in Mercury retrograde is challenges with communication, challenges with technology. So this is a really great time to slow down, to be really clear in what it is that you're wanting to communicate and to share with other people, and also to give yourself time and space to recognize that things might not go according to plan. And so just to give yourself grace and to give grace to the other people who might be involved as well. So for example, we might make plans to do something and I'm there at 8 o'clock because that's what we said we were going to do. And you thought it was yesterday. Or tomorrow, I guess, would be more appropriate. If you thought it was yesterday, we would have figured it out. But that's one example of how this can manifest. So for all of us, regardless of which crystal that you chose, give yourself some peace and some grace over the next couple of days, couple of weeks. There's a lot that's happening on an energetic level. Just give yourself some peace. All right, I've spoken way longer than I usually do, so let's pop in and we'll say hello to everybody. We'll start to get to questions. So, Ange, hello. It's so good to see you. Kimberly, hello. Oh, I'm so glad that you're on early this evening, Kimberly, because I'm pretty sure that I missed you last week, very unintentionally, but intentionally. Oh, we'll figure it out. Catherine, hello. Jerry, it's great to see you. Tammy, hello. Kathy, Catherine, Margaret, Tracy, hello. It's wonderful to see you. Oh, and Kimberly saying that's such a beautiful picture. Thank you. I was so blessed to experience it in person. Tanya, oh, it's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad that you joined us this evening and that you joined us during the More Than Existing Summit too. It was so wonderful to get that message from you. Thank you. And Jerry, Kathy, Lindsay, Deidre. Let me see. Who else do we have on here this evening? Cindy, hello. It's great to see you. Oops, I think. There we go. Let me see. Jen, hello. Nicole, it's wonderful to see you. Heather, hi. Kwana, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Hello, welcome. Kwana is saying it's their first time here this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. And Cindy, hello. Wonderful to see you too. Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. It's such a pleasure connecting with you. All right. So we've got Ange here. Hi, Ange. Thanks for joining us. Ange is saying, hope you had a wonderful holiday. Thank you. I did. Just wondering if you see my finances improving significantly soon. What was happening before started again. So I'm interested to know if I'm finally getting that money. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have. So I'm kind of reminded when I feel into this situation, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a tug of war. But I feel like you're following the lead and you're making it to the center. You're moving. It feels to me like we've got some progress that's going and that's happening. And I just keep seeing you putting one foot in front of the other and then enjoying the space that you're in. There's a lot of messages that are coming through for you around joy, enjoyment, being comfortable in the space that you're in what you're focusing on, what you're working on. So come into that place of joy. And as you move into that place of joy, money and finances feel like they start to just kind of click into place. I'm also seeing you focusing on a bit of planning, a bit of organizing, and I kind of want to call this budgeting, for lack of a better word. So become really very familiar with what's happening with money that's coming in, money that's going out, and just see that bigger overall picture. It feels like as you do that, that things really start to shift. So sometimes, particularly if we've been in any sort of place of financial challenge for a while, it can be really difficult to examine our money and finances really closely because it causes us stress. But what I'm seeing for you is that you're just kind of delving in, you're diving into it, and you're like, okay, this is where my money and finances are right now. That's my starting point, and things are only going to get better from here. And it does feel like there is going to be improvement. And it also feels like there is money in larger sums that's starting to come in, and it's just kind of filling up your bank account. So if you do have any sort of money that's coming in, if you're able to put it away in the bank, focus on like bigger dreams. Don't include it into your day-to-day spending. It feels like it's important to really focus that money on things that are dreams. All right, we're going to go to the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck for your question, and we're just going to see what messages do the angels, or pardon me, do the Mermaids and Dolphins have for you about manifestation and finances. I'm hearing the word synchronicity, and the card that we have here is set your sights higher. I'm not sure if I've got that. Oh, there you go. There we go. We've got it in the right place now. So the message specifically is increase your standards and expect more for yourself. Don't settle. So it feels like you're kind of focusing on, I want to say, I'm wanting to say the bare minimum, but I don't feel that that's actually the case. But it feels like it's important to kind of raise your standards up a little bit. But it feels like instead of making one great big huge leap, it feels like you're taking smaller leaps. So as you meet that first expectation, it feels like you're raising it higher and then higher and higher. And it's like going upstairs. So it does feel like things are shifting on that energetic and on that financial level, but you're doing it a little bit at a time in increments. And when money is coming in that doesn't have to be part of your regular day-to-day expenses, put it off to the side, because it feels like as you do that, it creates more and more of that money that's off to the side. And it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. All right, let me see who has the next question here. Awesome. Let's see. Oh, Tammy, hi. I think I might have missed you earlier on the way through. Hi, thanks for joining us. Oh, and Catherine, thank you so much for your beautiful compliment. I am feeling really lovely this evening. All right, Tracy has our next question. Hi, Tracy. Thanks for joining us. Tracy's saying, do you see an old partner coming into my life? And is saying also any deck. Okay, let's take a look. So I feel like I've got some flip-flop here, and most of the flip-flop feels like it's because it feels like there's already somebody who has been in your life in the past who is already starting to make an entrance back into your life. It feels to me like this is something that it's really hesitant, like I'm dipping toes into the water, and it feels like I'm not really sure, and I'm not sure if this is on your side or on the side of your previous partner, but it feels like we're just kind of testing the water. So it does feel like there is somebody who's coming in. If they aren't already back in your life, it feels like this is somebody who is coming back in. I'm really wanting to focus at this point on just mutual connection, like a hey, how's it going? Really wanting to connect on more of a platonic and friendship level. It does feel like all of the aspects that brought you together in the first place still exist. And I'm seeing about 50% of the things that meant that your relationship in the past didn't work, those still feel like they exist too. It does feel like this is a relationship and connection where the two of you have really grown and outgrown each other and then growing back into each other. It's kind of interesting. One of the ways that I see relationships is sometimes when things are going well, we run parallel to each other like this. And then we come into a point where there's growth that's happening for one or both of us. And so one will go off like this, or both will go off like this. And sometimes we just kind of keep going off that way. Or sometimes one or both of us come back into that place of parallel. So it feels to me like you guys are kind of coming into a place of parallel. And And I do see that there is opportunity to renew the connection, but take it really slowly, because there are still some challenges that were present before that are still present now. There has been growth, there has been time, things have shifted, but really make sure that you take your time in letting this person back in if you're considering a romantic connection and relationship. So the card that we have for you, this is the Archangel Oracle card deck, is Prioritize with Archangel Metatron. And his message is focus on your highest priorities. I will help you get organized and motivated. So this is not necessarily a romance related card. It's definitely one that's focusing on other things that tend to be important in our lives. So this could be work and career, finances, health and well-being, spirituality. This could be family and children. Though at the same time, I mean, it is definitely important to prioritize friendships and also relationships and partnerships too. So if you're at a point in your life where that's what you're prioritizing, you're like, everything else in my life is feeling pretty good, I have the time, space, and energy to be exploring on a romantic level, then Archangel Metatron will help and support you with that as well. So focus on your priorities. What is the most important to you right now at this point in your life, and put your energy into it. Tracy, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Let me see. What do we have here? Okay, so Jerry is asking about the promotion at work. Let's take a look and see what we have coming up. I'm seeing yes, but I also have 3 coming up too. So I'm kind of wondering if this is either like the second promotion that you've applied for, or the third promotion that you've applied for, or if it's possible that 3 people are going to be selected for this promotion. But when you ask about that, when I ask, what I get is the number 3 is feeling significant. It does feel like there is going to be opportunity, but I want to encourage you to make sure that you are finding out exactly what is involved with the promotion in terms of additional responsibilities, and in terms of the time and space that you're going to have in order to do that. Because part of what I'm seeing is it feels like this promotion might be tacked on to some of your existing responsibilities in some way, and that there isn't a lot of additional money that's coming in as a result. Like, one of the things that some companies do is they say, awesome, I'm going to give you all of these extra responsibilities, and can you do it for the same amount of pay? So do make sure that you're not falling into that trap, but it does feel like an offer is going to be there. And I'm seeing you also being in a position where you're going to be able to negotiate as well, which feels like that's really helpful in making that choice and decision, and also feels like you have a bit of power over the situation as well. And I'm really wanting to encourage you to stand your ground with it and to ask for what you feel that you deserve, and maybe even ask for a little bit more, because it feels like there have been times in the past where you've really undervalued or undersold what it is that you're bringing. And, it feels like the people that you've been negotiating with, they've kind of come away with a bit of a steal. Like, they've really gotten a lot for what they've offered. And I'm seeing a bit of a shift happening for you where you're like, no, my value is higher, and I'm seeing them willing to play with you on that. It feels like I'm saying to go for a little bit more than what you're feeling, because I do see a bit of negotiation happening, but it feels like both parties can be very happy with the arrangement. Okay, so we're going to the Mermaids and Dolphins, and the card that we have for you is the Positive Energy card. So when this card comes up, particularly around this type of question, your attitude and how you're feeling about the situation are going to have a really significant impact on the outcome, both in terms of being offered the position as well as the negotiation for like the work that you're going to do, and how, like, the benefits that you're going to get from it as well. The card says, surround yourself with positive people and situations and avoid negativity. This feels like this might have to do with the work situation that you're in. Make sure that you're really focusing on spending time with or connecting with the people who are positive and uplifting in this work situation. Talk to people who are positive, supportive, and loving about, how you're feeling about the work opportunity that has been presented to you. But make sure that your energy is as positive as possible and really lift yourself up, particularly as you're heading into negotiations. Jerry, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so glad that you joined me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. Let me see. Kathy, thank you. I'm so glad that you liked the picture. I really loved being able to take it. And hello to Lindsay and Deirdre. Let me see. Kimberly, where are our next questions? Angelite, awesome. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so Tanya, I'm just trying to figure out the question that you're asking. So Tanya has asked, can I please have some clarification of our carrier? Seems to be in an uproar. I am not 100% sure what the question is that is, oh, perfect. Career. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just like the next comment down. You corrected it. Thank you. Okay, so what's happening with career? Everything feels like it's in an uproar. Yeah, everything feels like it's kind of all over the place. I'm seeing stuff that's coming at you from all sides. And it feels to me like there's a need to really focus on what is most important. So it feels like part of that might be telling people that they're going to need to wait, because it feels like there is a lot that's on your plate. I'm feeling a lot of demand on your time and your energy. And it feels to me like you're focusing on what you can right now. But at the same time, it also feels like you are focusing on communication too. So you're communicating either to the other people who are involved around like the timeline that you're expecting to have with work, because work feels like it is really busy. I'm seeing lots of opportunity that's coming up, but it feels like there's a need to choose where you're wanting to put your energy and where you're wanting to invest yourself. So it feels like part of what you're doing is really prioritizing. What is it that we want to focus on for the next 3-month period of time, or for the next 6-month period of time? And it does feel like you're able to focus on that, say 90%, and then it feels like there's kind of a 10, maybe 15% where you're focusing on what's coming up next. So you're kind of laying out the groundwork and the foundation, but it feels like that 85 to 90% of your energy is going into the projects you have on your plate right in front of you, while still lining up the next things that you're going to be focusing on and working on. Let's take a look and see. Oh, no, sorry. I was going to go to the Mermaids and Dolphins, but we're going to the big guys because it feels like you might have a bit of change in your career. And I'm wanting to call this not so much change, but that you are choosing to focus. So rather than having a really broad field, it feels like you're bringing in the field a little bit like this, and you're specializing is perhaps the word I want to use. Okay, so what does Tanya need to know around career? And the card that we have is Archangel Michael. His message is you are safe. And I love this. Archangel Michael is going to help you cut through the BS, for lack of classier word. And Archangel Michael is helping to set you on the track. His message here is, I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and home. So part of what that's saying to me is that there might be a situation that is being offered to you that you're going to need to let go of. So be aware of all of the energies that are involved with the options and the choices that you're looking at. Just because something looks good on paper, if it doesn't feel good, then it feels like it's important to walk away. So don't be afraid to say no, or to say, I think that you might be better off going with somebody else for the work that you're looking at doing. This isn't something that we're able to offer, even if it's something that you're moving into. So really pay attention to your heart and to your gut, because it feels like that's going to put you in really good stead. And don't be afraid about potentially losing out on money or losing out on contracts, because it feels like when you make that choice and decision and you let go of something that isn't working, you have lots of opportunity for the things that are working. Tanya, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Let me see. What do we have coming up here? All right. So, so I have Kathy here, and Kathy was wondering about, will there be any money coming her way? Yes, but also no. It feels like there is some money that's coming in, but it doesn't feel like it's what you are possibly expecting or what you're asking about. It does feel like there is some money that's coming in, but this feels like this is kind of old. This almost feels like this is money that you've kind of forgotten about, like it's being tied up somewhere or in something for so long that it's kind of slipped your mind. So I want to encourage you to go back through like financial agreements, or I don't even know what this would be. Like, it feels almost like it's like a bond or something that's been sitting somewhere and it's coming due, and you're able to reap the reward of that. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. So it does feel like there is some money that's coming in, but it doesn't feel like it's from the area that you're kind of wondering if it might be coming in from there. But there does feel like there is some form of money that's coming in. It doesn't feel like it's as much as what you're expecting. I do see something that's a little bit further out that feels like it'll be coming in, but at this point, this is something small. This is something that you'd likely forgotten about, but feels like it gives a nice little boost to the bank account. So we're just going to ask, what does Kathy need to know about money and finances? And the card that we have for you is morning affirmations. Say positive affirmations each morning to open the gates of manifestation. So the more that you are able to think about things from a positive point of view and from an abundant point of view, the easier it's going to be to invite more in. One of the things that I ran into is I've recently been doing some manifestation work myself around time and space and energy, and money and finances have been all part of that too. And I realized that I was going into old patterns, even though my circumstances and situation have changed to the better because of the work that I've been doing. I have the time, the space, and the energy. Those old stories around money and finances were popping in, and I had to stop myself and say, whoa, hey, Erin, take a look at this. You've been creating and manifesting this. You were just thinking about how excited you were that these circumstances and situations are manifesting for you. Why are you starting to stress about this other thing? That is old story. So focus on catching yourself in those old stories and really celebrating when you are manifesting things. Kathy, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, support, and abundance angels your way. All right, so we've got Deidre here. Hi, Deidre. Thanks for joining us. Deidre's wondering, will my husband be changing his job? Yes and no. It feels to me like we've got a bit of hesitation with making a leap, making a change. He's showing me that there's something that he's not ready to let go of in the current job and position that he's in right now. It feels to me like there's hesitation. There's a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of stress. He's not quite ready yet, but I am seeing a time frame that looks to me, I was hearing 6 months, and then I was seeing 3 months, and then I'm hearing about 4 months. So I'm going to just call it kind of a general time frame, somewhere in the next 3 to 6 months. It feels like he's ready, and then he just makes a change. So I don't know if he's somebody who really takes his time when he's making new choices and decisions, or if he likes to have all of his ducks in a row before he makes any really big change. But that's the feeling that I have coming up from him, is that he's needing to focus on, he needs to have something in place, and then he's like, yep, all right, let's do it, let's change, and he's ready and he's off and running. Let's take a look. We're going to go to the messages from your angels, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Deidre around her husband making change in his work. So the card that we have here is the Aurora card. And as you can see, this is an angel who is just taking flight. You are flying high right now, which may threaten others, but don't descend, because others will soon become inspired by your example. So it could also be the part of the change that he is looking at making is concern around the circumstances that he finds himself in right now, that he's not completely ready to make that change yet because because of other people who are around him. So either the environment starts shifting and changing for him, or he's just done. He's like, it doesn't even matter anymore. I'm off. I'm running. But one of the things that you can see with this card here, if you look at the angel, I think you can kind of see her there. She's leading with the heart. So she's taking this great, big, huge leap. She's leading with the heart. She's letting herself go. She's working on new experiences, and she's just going for it. So it feels like that's part of what your husband is going to come into. He's just not there. He's just not quite ready yet, but he will become there. Teacher, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Let me see. Oops, I'm just going to do that. Let me see. Whoop. All right, so we've got Jen here. Hi, Jen. Thanks for joining us. Jen says, I just started my new job today in Qualicum. Congratulations. I absolutely love it. Even better. I'm really needing to drop this financial burden I've been carrying since the start of COVID. Any advice on my financial future? It's been really wearing, even though I'm making the necessary changes moving forward. Okay, let's take a look and see what we've got coming up around finances for you. So first of all, Jen, if you are able to, please hop on and join us for the full moon releasing that we're doing next week on Wednesday. It is free. It isn't going to be recorded though, so it is at 6 p.m. our time, Pacific. And the information is both in the chat here, and it's also on my Facebook page, because it feels like there's some stuff that you're going to be able to release with us. And so if you're able to, please join us. Okay, so let's take a look at the financial situation that you're in. And when I'm asking about it, what I'm hearing is lots of old stories and lots of old belief that's coming up. And so one of the things that tends to be true with money and finances, first of all, it is something that is incredibly stressful. And it tends to be something that we really dig our feet into, and it can be challenging to move out of old patterns. It feels to me like there's a new sense of support and stability that is coming up for you, whether this is like the new job that you have, or as a result of the changes that you've been making, or all three. But it feels to me like finances are shifting. I have March popping up as being a really significant time. So it feels like there could be either some money that's coming in, or things are reaching the level where it's like, yep, now I feel like I'm comfortable, or now I feel like things are moving forward. I am seeing that shift happening for you. But it does feel like you are coming into a place where you're aware. And I don't know if you were here for what I was saying. I believe it was to Kathy just a moment ago about the experiences that I was having with recognizing old stories that were coming up that weren't true anymore, but because they had been the story around finances in particular for so long, they were starting to come up again. And it feels to me that that's part of the situation that you're in right now. And part of what I'm seeing is also, it feels like you've started to make progress, or you are going to be making progress in the next couple of weeks. So really focus on the progress that you are making, what you have been able to either eliminate or put down to the side, like put off to the side, because it does feel like things are changing. So just keep breathing. March, as I said, feels like it's a really significant time, but also moving into May, June, and July, I'm seeing a lot of opening that's happening, and it feels like finances are feeling really different than they are right now at the moment. All right, we're just going to ask, what do you need to know about your financial situation right now? Let's keep this really open. And I'm also hearing how you can improve it too. Now, this is really interesting. The card that we have coming up for you is the Mother Healing card. And specifically, the message says, as your feelings towards your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. So although this can have to do with healing with the relationship with mother or with father, I see these cards as being interchangeable. And often we get a lot of our belief systems around money and finances, either, how we earn money, or how money should be spent or not spent in order for our financial situation to be healthy. it feels like part of what you're doing is unwinding some of those teachings, because it feels like you're focusing on choosing a different path in a different direction than maybe your family has taken in the past. And I mean, certainly the world that we live in now is quite different from anything that it has been from like the previous 20 or 30 years into the past. And money and finances it is working in a really different way. So I'm seeing this as being kind of a time when you're able to co-create, but also I do go back to that healing. There is some healing that's happening on a family level. And part of what I'm feeling is resentment. And I don't know exactly where this feeling of resentment is coming up. It actually almost feels like it is a fear as opposed to something that somebody is actually feeling. So it's almost like somebody is holding a fear around the emotion of resentment, but I'm not seeing that emotion being present within the relationship. So it could be that there is some healing around fears and concerns as well. Jen, it is always an honor and pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support, and lots of abundance angels your way too. And as I said, if you're able to join us next week, that would be fabulous. Awesome. Let's see. We've got Nicole here. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for joining us. Nicole says, hope you're doing well. I'm struggling to find housing. What do you think will be the outcome? Please and thank you. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have going on for home and housing for Nicole. So first of all, I'm seeing something that feels like it's a bit of a transition place or space. So it doesn't feel like you're going from your space into the next space where you're going to be staying for a while. It feels like there's something, it is feeling kind of transient. So the sense that I have is this feels like this is either family or friend. I'm leaning more to friend than to family. Family feels like there's a lot that's going on. This feels like this is friend that feels like family. So I'm a firm believer that friends are the family that we choose, and it feels like that's how this feeling of family is coming in. I also have a bit of a sense of community that's coming up for you as well. So I do want to encourage you to put it out there to your community to say, hey, I'm looking for a space. It does feel like there is going to be something that you are finding where you are going to be able to stay until you find the next place. So that's where this kind of transient feeling is coming up. And I keep hearing like work share. So I'm kind of wondering if part of the reason that there is space for you in this space is because there is something that you are giving or contributing from like a working point of view, or from like hours or like care point of view. Again, this feels like it's something temporary, but what I'm hearing is that it's win-win and that it's supportive to everybody who is involved. But it's not something that's permanent. It does feel like it's coming up within like the next couple of weeks. It's coming up pretty quickly. And I'm seeing kind of a 3 to 4 week time frame that you're staying there. And then it feels like you're moving into your own home space. Sorry, I don't know if I said 3 to 4 weeks. I meant 3 to 4 months, because it feels like February is when you're going, and then I'm kind of seeing May, June, possibly into the beginning of July when that new space is available to you. So it does feel like it's temporary. It's a little bit longer than temporary. It feels like you have the time and the space that you need. And as I said, it feels like it's a very wholesome experience for everybody involved. We're going to go to the Mermaids and Dolphins for your question, Nicole, and we're just going to ask, what do you need to know about finding home? Oh, so I'm hearing Archangel Haniel coming in, and he's saying that he's helping and supporting you. Archangel Haniel helps us with finding like our soulmate partnerships and relationships. He helps us in finding new work and new career that's in our best and highest good. And he's showing me that he's also helping you in finding the ideal living space, both for this temporary and for the one that's coming as a result. And this is so funny. We also have the morning affirmations card coming up for you as well, Nicole. So say positive affirmations each morning to open the gates of manifestation. So what this is saying to me is a big part of being able to find the space that you're ideally wanting to be in has to do with how you're seeing and perceiving the situation. So if you see it from the perspective, I'm never going to find anything, or I've been looking for so long and just nothing is coming up, then that's all going to block the process. So focus on the perfect living situation is going to appear for me. It is going to be in my best and highest good. It is going to be something that is helpful and supportive to everybody involved. It is going to have beautiful community connection, and everybody is going to feel supported in the circumstances and situation. It might not be exactly what I was envisioning for myself, but man, it is a good place to be because there is so much love and support. And that's actually one of the things it's popping up for me. Anytime I do manifestation work, I really try to focus on this or something better. So I'll write out or create the things, the circumstances and situations that I think that I want. And then at the end, I will say this or something better. Because sometimes either I haven't given myself enough credit, or I'm not aware of all of the circumstances and situations that are available, or in some way I have diminished or decreased the potential and the opportunity. And so by saying this or something better, I give the universe opportunity, and I become open to opportunity for something that looks different from what I see it as being, but that fulfills all of the needs that I have. I've shared on the show in the last little while an experience I had in manifesting a relationship and a partnership. And I had 4 pages typewritten of all of the things that I was looking for in a partner, in a romantic relationship. And I fast forwarded 6 months. I'd been dating somebody for about 2 or 3 months. We were actually living together. It got very serious very quickly. And I found this file where I had written out all of the things that I'd manifested. And again, I had put at the end, this or something better. And there were only 2 things that my partner didn't have. He was definitely not clean shaven, and he didn't have particularly broad shoulders. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, those 2 things weren't really important. And all of the other things, he really embodied those things. And so it really is important to be open to what you are asking for, manifesting in a slightly different package than what you're possibly expecting. Nicole, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, we've got Heather here. Hi, Heather. Happy New Year. Let me see. Heather's wanting to know what messages there are around the course she's taking this month. Thank you so much. So what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a checklist, and it's like check, 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 check. So it feels to me like the course is really ticking off a lot of boxes on the list. And also what I'm seeing is that it's ticking off some boxes that you maybe didn't realize needed to be on the list or were on the universe's list. So it does feel like there are a lot of criteria that it is meeting for you. And I'm also seeing being open to experiencing the course in a couple of different ways as well. So for example, it does feel like there's a lot of information and content that is helpful. It feels like potentially this course is meeting some sort of prerequisites or qualifications for something beyond the course that you're working on and working towards. But I'm wanting to take a look at things like the structure of the course and the class. It feels like you're able to view this experience as a learning experience from several different angles, not only in terms of the information that is being presented to you as part of the course and class, but also there is something about how it is being set up or how it's being taught that it feels like you're going to be able to apply to either work and career in the future or other aspects. It feels like there's going to be some self-learning that's coming up too. So there's like a new understanding or a greater understanding of how you're interacting and engaging. It feels like it's a really interesting course. Again, I'm seeing that it's ticking off a lot of the boxes, and it feels like, I mean, on paper, it's ticking off the boxes, which is feeling really good. There is some of the content that doesn't feel like it's either it's not completely relevant or it's not exactly what you were looking for. And so it feels like that's part of the reason that you're also kind of looking outside of the basic scope that you're looking at too, and seeing what else you're able to take from it. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Heather need to know about the course and the class she's taking this month? And the card that we have here is Gifts from God. Gifts from God. This is Archangel Sandalphon, and his message is, we angels bring you gifts from your Creator. Open your arms to receive. So Archangel Sandalphon helps and supports us in raising our prayers up to God, Source, Universe, and also helps us to recognize that our prayers have been heard, that they've been answered, and to recognize how they are being answered. So one of the things that I would suggest with this is ask what else you may have been unintentionally asking to learn about when you were signing up for this course or registering for this course. Because as I said, there is something that is outside of the basic curriculum that you are learning, that you are gaining, that feels like it's significant and important. Heather, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Oh, and I also heard Archangel Raziel popping in to help you with the any sort of academic aspect that there might be to the course in the class that you're taking right now. So don't worry about ability to learn if that's a concern. All right, let me see. We've got Josie here. Hi, Josie. Thanks for joining us. Josie says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. If you can do on a read on the finances of our older son and his funds for his new home. Okay. So part of what I'm seeing is I'm hearing like bridging the gap when I ask about your older son's finances. It feels to me like he is here and he is working towards coming to this point, and he's needing to bridge this. And it feels like there's a bit of a pathway that he is building. And I'm also seeing that in the middle. So what I should say is it feels like kind of two cliffs that he's needing to join. And it feels like not only is there a bridge that's helping him cross, but I'm also seeing something that's coming up in between that he's able to rest on between where he is now and where he's going and or needs to be. When I ask from a home point of view, it feels like he has the resources that he needs to be purchasing home if that's what he's looking at. But I'm seeing him, and I wonder if this might have to do with how he earns his revenue. So it's almost like, I almost wonder if he might be self-employed. And the reason that I'm wondering that is because, if you have a job, all you basically have to do is take in your pay slips and to prove that you're earning the amount that you're earning. But he's showing me that he's needing to do a little bit of extra jumping. And that leads me to wonder if he is self-employed or if finances haven't been super steady over the last little while. And certainly with pandemic, that has been the case for many people. So it feels like that's kind of part of where this sense of hoop jumping is coming in for him. But I do see him having what he needs in order to qualify. And it feels to me like he's also got a bit of a bump up and an increase that is happening around his income and finances. And this feels to me like this is happening on a monthly basis. It feels to me like it's $1,500 to about $2,000 every month, which feels like it's basically going to cover a lot of the mortgage payment or something else that he is needing to cover. And it feels like that's something that they're going to take into consideration, which helps to bring him from this point over here to that point to the ending point of where he needs to be. So it does feel like there is that additional money that's coming in, and it feels like it's something that he's kind of doing. It's not quite on the side, because it does feel like it is in some way connected to the work that he's doing, but it feels like it could be some sort of additional offering that he has that's bringing in that extra $1,500 to $2,000 a month, which just like brings everything together. Let's take a look. We're going to go to the Mermaids and Dolphins. We're just going to ask, what does Josie's son need to know about finances moving forward? And how is he able to manifest that for himself too? And it's really interesting because as I'm picking the card, what I'm hearing is that he needs to to not worry and to not work as hard as he has been working. So looking for that path of least resistance. I'm seeing, first of all, I'm seeing your son being a really hard worker. So this isn't coming out of a place where I'm saying, like tell your son to be lazy, because it feels like that's the furthest thing from what he is. But it feels like he works really, really hard. And that's part of what feels like it might be blocking the process, is he needs to find that way so that he doesn't have to work as hard. And then as he does that, more opportunities open up. So the card that we have here is yes, your intuition is correct, and take action accordingly. So encourage him to really pay attention to his intuition. And it's interesting because I'm actually having this manifest in the heart. Usually this message for me will come up in the stomach with like that gut feeling. This is what I need to focus on. This is what I need to pay attention to. But in this instance, it's coming up in his heart, and that's what he's really needing to follow and pay attention to. So encourage him to follow his heart with the choices that he's making moving forward. Josie, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your son as well. Awesome. Now, I just want to double check. Kimberly, I am so glad that you asked a question. I'm just skipping over a couple of people because Kimberly and I mistakenly jumped over her question last week because she had the same name as somebody else that I'd already given a reading to. So I told her to please come back this week because I wanted to connect with her. And I see that she's asked a question just a couple down. So my apologies to the people that I'm skipping. So Kimberly is asking, am I going to be changing jobs soon? Okay, let's just take a look and see what we have coming up. It's really interesting. A lot of the same messages have been coming up for people where there's a little bit of hesitation with taking that step. So basically, I'm seeing you as like a child who is playful on the diving board of a swimming pool. And you know how sometimes you would like walk and then you just like walk into the pool off of the diving board? That's kind of the energy that I'm seeing, only I'm seeing you standing at the edge of the board and you've got like one foot forward and you're ready to take the step, but you're also like not quite ready. And it almost looks like you're about to be suspended in air before you take that jump, before you jump in. So yes, there is a change that's coming up. Yes, you are preparing for it. But it also feels like there is something that is keeping you where you are before you take that step and leap. So part of what's coming up for me as I'm talking about this is I'm feeling into the energy of Mercury Retrograde that is starting in the next couple of days. And while I don't think it's necessarily important to, be hyper vigilant to, what's happening from an astrological perspective around you, it feels like in this particular instance, Mercury Retrograde might be a little bit challenging. So we talked a little bit about Mercury Retrograde at the very beginning in terms of what's physically happening in where Mercury appears to be moving backwards to us, but it is just the way that the planets cycle because they move at different rates because they are at different distances from the sun. That's how Mercury retrograde and all retrogrades happen. It's because our planets move around the sun in different cycles. Mercury retrograde has a lot to do with communication, technology, and there is a lot of room for misunderstanding, misinterpretation, and I'm kind of wondering if that's part of the energy that's coming up right now. And honestly, it can be a really challenging time to make a change, and so it makes sense from that perspective that you would be staying where you are for right now, because this is a place and a space that that you understand. It feels like it is okay for another couple of weeks or another month or another couple of months, because things aren't quite ready. They haven't quite lined up yet for you for this change. The other aspect that I'm getting is the new job, the new work that I see you moving into doesn't feel like it's ready for you yet. And so it feels like that's part of the reason that you aren't ready is because it's not ready. What else do we have coming up around this new job and this new position? I am hearing that there's a bit of a leap of faith that you're taking with it too, which is interesting because what I'm seeing for you is it feels like you like to have all of your ducks in a row. So the idea of just taking a leap of faith feels like it could be a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm seeing that there's a lot of freedom and flexibility that is coming with this, and it feels like you've got a plan. So with the plan that I'm seeing for you, it feels like you are what is it? You've got some sort of financial backing. I kind of wonder actually if this is some form of self-employment that you are looking at. And if you hadn't been thinking about self-employment, I do want to encourage you to start thinking about it. Even if it's not this initial move, it does feel like that's coming up pretty strongly for you. And I suspect that that's also part of where these planning messages are coming in, because I'm seeing having a bit of financial backing and a bit of financial support that's coming up around you, that's kind of creating that net that's going to catch you. So it's very much a sense of leap, and the net will appear. And also, I'm seeing everything happening in slow motion too. It's really interesting what you've got going on in your life and your world right now. It's not just around work. There are other aspects and elements that are coming into play here. And it really feels like things are coming into like a new level of balance and a new level of awareness, and new opportunities are really opening up for you. So to go back to your question, are you going to be changing jobs soon? It depends on your definition of soon, but yes, there is a change that's coming up for you. It feels like it is definitely in 2022, and it feels like there could be a couple of components to it as well. Either that you are moving into straight into a place of self-employment, and or you are moving into some other form of job where you are employed by somebody else. But this self-employment thing, it can't be denied. It feels like it's something that you're putting energy into, and it's feeling very creative as well. Kimberly, we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for you around this shift and change with your work. And it's so funny. We have the yes card, and this is a confirmation and an affirmation of intuition. Yes, your intuition is correct, and take action accordingly. One of the things that I talk about with intuition is that there are actually 3 components to intuition. There is recognizing that you're receiving a message, understanding what the message is, and then taking action on it. And that tends to be one of the things that people have the most difficulty with. Like, there's a lot of excitement around recognizing that you're receiving an intuitive message, and then, coming into the place where you understand it. And then people almost like hold on to it, like, oh, I've got this amazing thing, and isn't it beautiful? And I had this understanding, and that's it. And one of the reasons that you're receiving that intuition and that you have the understanding of it is that you are being encouraged to take action on it. So as you start to receive those messages, really make sure that you are taking action on what's happening, because there's a lot of confirmation that's coming up here that you are in touch and you are in tune and you're aware of what your intuition is telling you. It really is about leaping, and the net will appear. And Kimberly, I'm so incredibly glad that we were able to connect this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. We have come to the end of this evening's Connections with Intention. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, currently I have 20% off readings and gift certificates, readings booked for the month of January, and gift certificates purchased in that time frame. But it's only available on bookingwitherin.com/gratitude. So the link is both in the comment section at the very top of this live video, and it's also tagged at the top of my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/heavenly, Lee, messenger. And the other thing I would love to share with you is we talked a little bit about connecting with Archangel Haniel, the power that she has to help and support us with releasing, particularly with releasing with the energy of the full moon. We have a free Zoom gathering that's happening next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Mountain and 9 p.m. Eastern. This is not going to be recorded. So if you're able to attend live, I would so love to have you join us. Just head on over to my Facebook page and the link is there. There's an event there as well, so you can get a little more information, but it would be such a pleasure to connect with you. We will be back. My intention is that we will be back next Tuesday for Connections with Intentions here at 7 p.m. Pacific, which is 10 p.m. Eastern. And in the meantime, I hope that you have a fabulous week, an amazing weekend, and I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Thanks for joining me.